Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review was prompted by a commenter who left a comment on the Chalk Garden random review that I did a while ago and suggested that I check out Robert Rosson's Lilith. So thanks to Foxandscout for prompting me to do this random review. And as these things would have it, I had Lilith anyway in my backlog because it's an indicator title. It's an indicator spine number 129. So this is written and directed by Robert Rosson from 1964, starring Warren Beatty, Jean Seberg, Peter Fonda, Kim Hunter, and a youngish Gene Hackman. Even though he was 34 at the time, and he still looks as though he's in his 50s, because Gene Hackman professionally looks as though he's in his 50s. This is a film about female mental health and mental health in general, and it would be part of a nice triple bill with The Snake Pit, which is also released from Indicator with Olivia de Havilland. This is from 1948, about female mental health. And also George Franjau's La Tête contre le mur, or Head Against a Wall. This is from 1959. This is Franjau's debut, or his full-length debut. So you should check those two out as well. As with Indicator limited editions, it comes with booklet. This one has a Guardian interview with Warren Beatty from 1990, which is 87 minutes long, sorry. And it also has a 2019 25-minute visual essay by Amy Simmons, which is excellent, about the suffering screen, which is again about cinema and female madness or female mental health. And then we have an 8-minute piece from 2019 by Pamela Hutchinson on the many faces of Jean Seberg, because there's no doubt this is easily Jean Seberg's finest performance. So the story itself is about Warren Beatty, who has come out of the army. The story was that he got wounded, but he tells a character, something like that. Most people, when they come out of the armed forces, keep their short hair, but Warren Beatty has a full-blown James Dean quiff. So maybe that's another kind of clue to how he left the army. And he's kind of looking for work, so he applies for work in a mental institute, Poplar Lodge, run by Kim Hunter. And he is put kind of under the care of a woman called Lilith, played by Jean Seberg, who's been in the institute since the age of 18. Now, Lilith is the name of a demon in Jewish mythology. The biblical reference is she was the first wife of Adam, but she didn't listen to what Adam said, didn't obey Adam. In other versions, she's the name of the serpent that actually tempted Eve. So there's kind of weight on the name Lilith. There's also a scene where she has made a pipe herself, made a flute, which she plays very much like Pan. So there's little references to what her character might be like. There's a wonderful scene at the start where the head psychiatrist shows the staff overheads of spiders on LSD and the webs that they make, compared with spiders who are clean living. The title sequence is butterflies kind of being caught in spider web, an expressionistic spider web. So during the runtime of the film, you don't exactly know who's the butterfly and who's the spider, or who created the spider web and who's the butterfly, because it kind of changes and is fluid. The film itself, Robert Rossen didn't make a lot of films, but he's more kind of known for kind of gritty, realistic, almost documentary kind of filmmaking. This is completely different. This is framed absolutely beautifully. The shot composition is tremendous. It did remind me a bit of Jack Clayton's The Innocents, and also it reminds me of a Bergman film. Also, this is post New Wave and post Bergman coming onto the scene, and for me at least, I can see lots of Bergman kind of compositions, and it does have a Bergman feel. There's a lot of nods to nature and water motifs. Again, the kind of reason for Lilith's condition is fairly vague, but there might be something to do excuse me, with her brother who killed himself, and she has a kind of compulsion to be desired by everybody. There's a couple of really uncomfortable scenes where she's whispering things into little boys' ears, which disturb little boys. And again, as Amy Simmons says in the visual essay, the history of these kind of films in Hollywood about female madness is generally about their sexuality, and their sexuality has run rampant, so there's obviously something wrong with them. So they're put in these institutions to be cured by men, often with pipes. So they go back to their normal lives of being like obedient housewives or girlfriends. This film doesn't necessarily go down that route. It does have an odd feel to it. Warren Beatty's performance is really good, but he does a lot of reacting to people. He does a lot of sitting, listening to people, kind of staring at them. Jean Seberg's fantastic because she flips between manipulator and innocent very well. Peter Fonda, in a really unusual Peter Fonda role, plays this kind of shy guy who's infatuated with Lilith, and Lilith just toys with him basically. But it's a really interesting role by him. I don't know whether he has Asperger's. It's never really talked about. But the fact he doesn't like people touching him, he doesn't like being around people. He kind of states what he's feeling rather than feeling it. So I think he might be a little bit Asperger's. But it's a really interesting performance by Peter Fonda, because again, we're not used to seeing Peter Fonda in these kind of roles. Gene Hackman turns up for 5 minutes as the husband of Warren Beatty's old flame, because this is Warren Beatty's hometown that he's come back to. And Gene Hackman has a very odd accent, and he does Gene Hackman things. He plays a heel very well, and Warren Beatty obviously doesn't like the guy. But it's obviously something his ex is still obviously carrying a torch for him, but he doesn't feel the same way. He feels very much like a person who's doesn't fit in himself, so he's actually fits in more in the institution rather than in society after coming back from the war, for again reasons that are kind of up in the air. It's like I said, it's a beautifully composed film. The shot composition is really spectacular. The framing, the people within the frame, Rawson does a really good job. Again, not to harp on it, but it did feel like Bergman's a heavy influence, because Bergman's shot compositions are immaculate, and his positioning of people in the frame, that's what really stuck with me. So is there any easy answers in the film? No. And that's, I think it's all the better for it. Again, as far as plot, Beatty just gets more and more involved with Lilith's character, and that line between carer and patient kind of merges and dissolves. But again, it's who is actually in charge of the relationship. That is kind of the meat of the film. Everybody's on top form, even though, like I said, it does have a strange feel, and some of the casting is a little odd. It has wonderful little moments, and it's a film that's well worth checking out. Beatty was 27 at the time. It was before he kind of reached superstardom status, but you can tell that he's a star just with the way he sits and the way he lounges in his chair, staring at people. Again, it's a very reflective performance by Beatty. He's reacting to other people rather than being the centre of attention, and it works really well. It's less of a kind of hysterical view of mental health than perhaps The Snake Pit in 1948. The Snake Pit is fantastic as well, but for different reasons. It's a much more scholarly look at mental health, but it's nonetheless still a fascinating little film. And again, I'm going to use my favourite cliche and say it's a total indicator release, and one well worth checking out, and the extras are really good, especially the visual essay by Amy Simmons, which goes over female mental health throughout Hollywood's history, which is a fascinating watch in itself. So thanks very much for watching, and thanks for Fox and Scout for prompting me to get this one out of my indicator backlog and actually watched. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've seen Lilith and what you think of it, and hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitude Ronin from Solitude Ronin Films, saying cheerio.